This is London. The Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Winston Churchill.
Yesterday morning at 2:41 a.m. at General Eisenhower's headquarters, the representative of the German High Command and of Grand Admiral Dönitz, the designated head of the German state, signed the act of unconditional surrender of all German land, sea, and air forces in Europe.
Greetings, Groaners! Welcome along to a really important special 80 years of VE Day, represented by episode 132. An important day in our history which should always be honoured even long after the soldiers and heroes have gone, both male, female, and of course animals. Another 80th anniversary that happened this year was the Auschwitz liberation. 80 years since the day the survivors were freed and families were united. Many would rather history be erased to never have to be reminded of the brutality of man. Yet it is only by remembering history that we can learn to be better, to make sure these horrors are never repeated again. Our hearts go out to all those who suffered during such an awful, dark moment in our history. Let us all hope and pray we never see these dark times again. To get out of the dark though, we've shook the games up a bit, and the content too, as some didn't fit in with VE Day. After next week, or possibly the week after, we'll sort the games back out as they should be. Also, there is no audience groan this week, but there will be next week. So sorry about that, Groaners. I have enough groans for all of us, don't worry, and Admin Nicole has been extremely hard at work, giving us facts and heroes all the way throughout the episode. I'll start us off with my groans. Lack of respect for the fallen. In today's generation, or millennials, a lot of them don't even get what VE Day is about. It's the official ending of World War II when the Axis forces surrendered to the Allies in Europe. We celebrate in the UK, however in the Far East and the Pacific regions, the war was still going on, hence why it's not celebrated there. Remember, younger ones, if those soldiers didn't fight, you most likely wouldn't have what you've got now. People who forget VE Day. A lot of people genuinely forget VE Day, or just don't pay it no mind. Something this important should not just be cast aside. It's part of our history, even though the years before it were years we'd much rather never have happened with so much loss of life. It's important to remember the sorrow that comes with VE Day. A lot of families during wartime lost loved ones, soldiers that went off to fight. The unlucky ones didn't return, leaving a gaping hole in the lives of their families. Whilst we celebrate VE Day, it's important we also remember it's painful for some who lost others. There is no way I could groan against something like VE Day, so that will never ever happen. Taking us out of the groans is Admin Nicole with a fact and a hero. Fact 1. Even though VE Day led to peace across Europe, World War II didn't actually end until 2nd of September 1945. And that marked just over 6 years since Nazi Germany's invasion of Poland on 1st of September 1939. After VE Day on 8th of May 1945, World War II was prolonged as the Allies were still at war with Japan. In August, the United States dropped devastating atomic bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, which gave Japan no option but to surrender, which led to the end of World War II. Hero number 1, Lyle Bauk Jr. I'm so sorry for mispronouncing names here. At age 14, he enlisted in the National Guard and quickly rose in the rank, becoming a sergeant at the age of 16. At the outbreak of World War II, He volunteered to attend Officers Candidate School and was commissioned in August 1942. He took command of the Information and Reconnaissance Platoon of the 394th Infantry Regiment. His 22-man platoon would become iconic in history of the 99th Division and the Battle of the Bulge for holding off an entire German battalion at Lanzerath for nearly an entire day. Bauck and his men were eventually captured and spent the remainder of the war in captivity. After the war, he became a chiropractor and practiced for nearly 50 years. The actions of his platoon were finally recognised in 1981 and all the men were decorated. 4, including Bauck himself, received the Distinguished Service Cross, 5 were awarded the Silver Star, and 10 the Bronze Star. They became the most decorated platoon in World War II. Lyle was a member of the 9th Division Association and made numerous trips back to Belgium. How about a game now, Groaners? Wait, don't quote me on that. For this week's game, the films will be either about the World War II era or have been released around about that era. Round 1.
If that plane leaves the ground and you're not with him, you'll regret it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon and for the rest of your life.
The film was released in 1942 USA and 1943 UK respectively. B. The film is set in Morocco. C. The leading male part is played by Humphrey Bogart. Throw your guesses in here, Groaners. Press pause, have a little think, answer, then unpause. Round 2.
One more. Help me get one more. One more.
A. The film starred Andrew Garfield as Desmond Doss. B. The film was about a soldier who refused to use guns and kill people during World War II. And C. Mel Gibson directed the movie. Pause here, Groaners. Have a little think. Answer, then unpause. Round 3.
What do you see? Home.
The premiere of the film was attended by approximately 30 survivors of the conflict the film is about. They were in the mid-90s in 2017. B. Christopher Nolan directed the movie. C. The film used actual working World War II little ships. 12 were in operation over the course of filming. Pause here, Groaners. Have a little think. Answer, then unpause. The answers will come later in the show, but we switch over to Admin Nicole again for Creepy Corner. And the story for the special episode is called To Love Selfishly. Ours was a small countryside town, not big enough to evacuate children to for safety, but also not that safe for ourselves either. We still stood by each other though. Close-knit community and all that. I remember every moment of every day. The clear blue skies that could be blackened in an instant. The bulletin boards that were constantly being updated with those that we lost. We were a small village, yet we always stood together. In the beginning anyway. I was only 6 years old when it started. I remember that horrid day ever so vividly. The calm stopped and the chaos raged in, stomping out any sense of peace in our quiet town. My 6th birthday happened about 6 months after the war started. My parents went to get rations, leaving me with my older brother. Even before the war started, he swore to protect me no matter what, and once the war began, he began looking into ways to make sure he could. He was 10 years older than me, so I knew he was thinking of joining the army, but he never said a word until my 6th birthday. My parents never came home that day. They were added to the bulletin boards. Unexploded mine trapped under the rock, and my poor parents stood in it by accident. Even from home, myself and my brother could see the explosion. Normally we wouldn't. We're lucky to be one of the few who live on the hill, hidden under the trees. Yet that day we saw the explosion. It must have been a pretty big mine. The town rallied and tried to take me in, but my brother refused. He said we would never be separated. He said he was more than capable of looking after me. My parents used to tell me that love can be selfish at times, but it was always worth it. I never knew what they meant back then, but as I grew older I began to understand. Days after the accident, my brother packed his things and left to join the army. He had a cross around his neck. I've noticed he never took it off. It was always with him. Ever since I was born, he had it. The day he left, he told me he always wore it, so that if he ever had to remove it, I wouldn't feel so alone. He took off that cross that day and put it around my neck. He said he loved me, but protecting me meant stopping the war. I had to promise him to never set foot in the village until he returned. I know they meant well, but I understood how they would try to take me away if they knew he was leaving. Only the two of us and the neighbour knew he was leaving. She was ever so kind to check up on me and make sure I ate and was looked after. She never once told the town either. Every night I would pray on that cross to have my brother returned. Every day I would help the neighbour with anything she needed and play with her son. He was around the same age as me. We had grown up together. I turned 6 when the war started in 1939. I was 13 when it ended in 1945. My brother returned home the year before. He was a diver in the Marines, clearing beaches, making sure they were safe to land on. But he came home the year before it was over for us. He was missing a leg, but he seemed alright. Yet I knew my brother, and I knew he wasn't the same man that left me. I returned the cross to him, and slowly I stopped seeing the neighbour and her son. Even after the war ended, my brother still didn't sleep. He kept waking up in a sweat nearly every night. The sounds and sights of the war stripped him of that man he was. Even being away from all that didn't help. The years passed and my brother slowly recovered. At the same time, he slowly passed. He became too afraid to ever leave the house. The neighbour helped me out once again, and I reconnected with her son. I positioned my brother's favourite chair right by the window, hoping he would see how safe the world was now. But it didn't work. He just sat and stared, but I don't think he was looking outside. I fear, as I have done for some time now, that he was staring inside his own mind, unable to stop replaying whatever horrors he had witnessed. One day, the neighbour's boy asked me to marry him. I was so happy I couldn't wait to say yes, but that's the moment that I understood why my mother said love can be selfish. I love this man, and I know he loves me. I could have a future and be happy, but that wouldn't be right. My brother put himself through all of this because of his love for me. His love to keep his own family alive made him want to join the war to end it, to think of the shell of a man he is now, and the fears that haunt him at every moment. My brother knew what would happen, but out of love for me and his desire to end this war, he chose to leave. My brother chose a selfish love. My brother chose a selfish love for me over one that could have given him a true chance at life. Now it was my turn to do the same. I turned down the proposal. I told him, as much as I loved him, it was my turn to love selfishly now. I understand it all now, Mum. Loving selfishly doesn't mean doing what's right for you. It's doing what's needed for those you love. My brother loved selfishly and it sent him to war. Now I will love selfishly and watch over him and protect him. I never saw that boy again after that. I was heartbroken, of course, but I had to make peace with my choice. As the years continued to pass by, my brother rarely left his chair. He began to struggle to feed himself or even dress himself. The horrors of war had finally burrowed so deep in his mind, there was not an ounce of my brother left in there. Yet he would always be my brother. One day, on his birthday, as I was pointing at all the different flowers through the window, my brother grabbed my hand and looked at me with more clarity than I had seen in years. He told me to let him go and that he was sorry for taking my life from me. I couldn't stop the tears falling down my face as I got to hear my dear brother's voice once again. I told him he took nothing from me. He gave me what no one else could, and I loved spending every minute with him. Every second as years passed, and I waited for him. I regret none of that, and I would do it all again. Mere moments later, my brother closed his eyes, and as a single tear ran down his cheek, he was gone. I could only hope he got to be with our parents again. Little did I know, I would be joining them only 6 months later. It turned out, all the years I spent watching my brother meant I was neglecting my own health without even realising it. One day, I felt an urge to sit in my brother's chair that had remained untouched since he died. I got to see what the flowers looked like from where he used to sit, and I pointed them all out as if he was there with me. Then I closed my eyes for a small rest, and I never woke up. I have no regrets with my life though. My brother loved me selfishly, and it cost him his life. So I chose to love selfishly back, and it cost me mine. Yet I wouldn't change a thing. Maybe I never got to get married or have a family of my own, but I had love, and I was loved in return. and that was more than enough. When I was writing the episode, I hadn't read the story, and this is my live reaction. So if I'm emotional or crying, Groaners, don't worry, I'm fine. But Nicole, you got me there. I would nearly went full-blown crying mode. Once again, Nicole, you graced us with a hell of a story. Well written. I can tell a lot of effort was put in there. Truly well done. But now, Groaners, let me pose a question to you with why oh why? Over the course of our time on this planet, we have started so many wars and battles, with different factors being the ignition. It seems to be in our nature to destroy ourselves. We should really push against this and come together to unite and achieve bigger things instead of letting hatred fuel war. The human condition or human nature? I just have to ask, why oh why? Give it up again for Admin Nicole with fact number 2. After Winston Churchill's announcement that Nazi Germany had unconditionally surrendered, VE Day on the 8th of May was declared a national holiday. Across the country, some revellers were even lucky enough to fall in love, including Kenneth and Barbara Pickard. Kenneth was part of the Hampshire Regiment during World War II and lost his right leg in combat. Struggling with crutches, Barbara and Kenneth plucked up the courage to talk to each other, and just 18 months later, they got married. Bless them both. Hero number 2. Bill Leopold. Early on October 25th, 1944, Bill Leopold stood on the bridge of the USS Tang, World War II's most lethal American submarine, on its 5th and final patrol. He watched in the darkness through the binoculars as the submarine's very last torpedo broached the surface of the ocean and began to porpoise, with phosphorusine trailing it. The torpedo malfunctioned, circled back and hit the Tang with an enormous explosion. Of the 87 crewmen, just 9 survived. All 9 survivors were fished from the cold waters off Taiwan, brutally interrogated by vengeful Japanese, and sent to a notorious POW camp in Omuroi, Japan. That's where Leopold and his fellow submariners were working in caves when on August the 15th, 1945, they heard the voice of Emperor Hirohito on a public address system. We have resolved to pave the way for a grand peace for all the generations to come by enduring the unendurable and suffering what is unsufferable. Leopold understood from the faces of the Japanese guards that the war was over. He had lost 70 pounds in captivity, and that night celebrated with other elated Americans with horse gut stew. The prisoners weren't immediately released. That day came 13 days later when American forces reached the camp. But the abuse ended after the Emperor's words, and US planes were able to drop rations into the camp for the starving men. Today, Leopold is convinced that it was love that kept him and the Tangs of the 8 survivors alive all those decades ago. 7 of the 9 were married, he stresses. Some had small children, and they fought ferociously to stay alive so they could see them again. All the men aboard the submarine had been reported lost, but Leopold's wife Grace had clung to hope for a miracle. He was finally able to hold her in his arms in Los Angeles in late September 1945. Plenty more where Nicole got them from Groaners, more coming later. But another game comes to us now with Talking Nonsense. Round 1. Your clue is, a lot of these took place on VE Day and still do. Your nonsense is, it are here's. Pause here, Groaners. Have a little think. Answer, then unpause. Round 2. Your clue is, this cold country near Europe and UK also celebrates VE Day. Your nonsense is, A1. Pause here, Groaners. Have a little think. Answer, then unpause. Round 3. Your clue is, this European country is where the signing of the official surrender took place. Your nonsense is, Snarf. Pause here, Groaners. Have a little think. Answer, then unpause. The answers will come later on, Groaners. We make a brief stop now with Oh Lucky. A lot of World War II survivors aren't with us anymore, and they actually saw the end to World War II and were there for the first street party. Luck must have been on any soldier's side to come through such extreme fighting. those still around, we're definitely lucky. Respect, of course, doesn't just go to the living, but also to the lost. We honour them all with VE Day. Another fact in Hero, Nicole. Bring 'em on. Fact number 3. 2024 marked the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings, but 2025 will mark the 80th anniversary since the end of World War II in Europe. This anniversary holds significant importance, as it is likely the last major milestone where a number of World War II veterans are still alive to share their remarkable stories. Hero number 3. The Forgotten Army, officially known as the UK's 14th Army, comprised of officers from the Commonwealth and the UK, known as the Forgotten Army because they were overlooked by the press and receiving less recognition because they were based in Burma and not European countries like other parts of the army. They never got to be celebrated, instead ignored, despite everything they did. This leads us on to another game with the 5-point countdown. Are the Groaners live ready? I believe they are. You all know this one, guys. We start at 5 points, we'll go all the way down to 1 point. If you think you've got the answer, you can stick or play on. If you stick, you're not changing your answer, you might get points. If you choose to change your mind, you might lose the points and have to start again when you get the right answer again. Clue 5 for 5 points. This is what you do sometimes when you can't continue. Clue 5 for 5 points. This is what you do sometimes when you cannot continue. Groaners live, give me your guesses, please. Oh, I think we're stumped again. I think we are. Oh, no. Someone's put save. Okay, more people are typing. Someone's put retreat. That's a good one. Retreat is a good one. Any more? Someone's put wait. Okay. Someone's put rest. Okay. Someone's wrote R&R. Very military there. Okay. Moving on. Clue 4 for 4 points. It happens in sports as well as conflicts. Clue 4 for 4 points. It happens in sports as well as conflicts. No guesses for that one, Groaners. Okay. Moving on. Clue 3 for 3 points. It can involve the colour white. Clue 3 for 3 points. It can involve the colour white. No, they're typing. Groaners are typing what they're going to come up. Someone's put surrender. That's a good guess. That's a really good guess. Someone's put backtrack. Okay. Someone's put flag waving. Okay. Okay. Moving on. Clue 2 for 2 points. It can be done as a start that one again. Clue 2 for 2 points. It can be done as a I can't say this bit. Clue 2 for 2 points. It can be done as a strategic choice. Clue 2 for 2 points. It can be done as a strategic choice. Any further guesses, Groaners? We've had retreat, save, surrender, backtrack, flag wave. Any further guesses? Nope. Okay, I'm going to move on there. Clue 1 for 1 point. It's another word for truce. Clue 1 for 1 point. It's another word for truce. Okay, I don't think any more Groaners are typing. Nope. I think we're done there. The answer will come later on, Groaners, because as you may be aware, we've had heroes throughout the episode, so it's now time to name our Zero of the Week, and this is unbelievable. Zero of the Week. VE Day has been celebrated since 1945, but it seems some councils want to scale back or even cancel the VE Day plans. Those who lived through World War II expressed this in response, including a 98-year-old. Don't be so bloody absurd. And I agree with them. What is it with some people in power positions? Let us have our day to remember, forgive and celebrate. I say no to the councils. And for even thinking of this, you are all shameless and have been smited with the Zero of the Week branding. For now, the last time this episode, Admin Nicole hits us with another hero and another fact. Fact 4. In 2024, D-Day veteran and Bless My member Roy Hayward was able to make it to the D-Day 80th anniversary commemorations in Portsmouth and recount his story. Roy was severely injured during the D-Day landings, losing both of his legs. Roy was one of the last surviving veterans from the D-Day landings. Sadly, he passed away in December 2024. Hero number 4. Lieutenant Den Brotheridge served with the Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire Light Infantry and was part of Operation Tonga to seize what is now known as Pegasus Bridge in Normandy. He was gunned down as he led his men over the bridge just after midnight on 6th of June 1944. He was the first Allied soldier killed on D-Day. His daughter Margaret was born 19 days later. As the show nears an end, we must play Gimme the Question. Again, Groaners Live are ready. Round 1. Your answer is Alfred Jodl. Your questions are A. Who was present at the unconditional surrender signing who represented Germany? B. Who was present at the unconditional surrender signing who represented France? Or C. Who wrote the document which representatives signed for unconditional surrender? Go Groaners Live, give me answers. Those at home, you know what to do. We have C's flying in there, B's flying in there. B's, more B's, C's, couple of A's, more A's, a B, another B, and a C. Okay? Any more? Moving on, round 2. Your answer is Edward Kennedy. Your questions are A. Who was the first Allied news reporter to report the German surrender? B. Which American field commander signed the document representing the surrender of Germany? Or C. What was the name of the last airman killed before VE Day? Go Groaners Live, as before, you know what to do. Those at home, you know what to do. We have A's flying in there. More A's flying in there. A C and a B. Okay, we have a spread there, Groaners. Not an even spread, but still a spread. Yep, more A's flying in there. Okay, stopping it there. Round 3. Your answer is Nuremberg. Your questions are A. What was the name of the last German stronghold which surrendered? B. What was the name of the trials which came after World War II seeking punishment for atrocities carried out by leading German officials? Or C. What was the surname of the American Jewish soldier who was honoured after VE Day? Go Groaners Live, answers please. Those at home, you know what to do. We have A's flying in there. More A's flying in there. B's flying in there. A C and another B. Okay, Groaners, I've got you loud and clear. The point situation is coming later on, Groaners. We cannot go through this episode without reminding you lot out there how to take part in the show. Comment on the episode you've listened to on the platform you use, be it Podbean, YouTube, Spotify. Drop a comment and we'll review it. Find myself, that's Mystery Groaner, or Admin Nicole, Nicole Amos on Facebook Messenger. You can join in the fun on Facebook groups under the Groan Zone Podcast Facebook group. You can drop us an email, which we're always waiting for, on the groanzonepod@gmail.com. And lastly, you can tune in live every Friday, usually, at 8:30 PM Greenwich Mean Time on Discord. You can also DM me there, or comment in the channels after the show, or during the show if you're playing along live. Taking us out with Admin Nicole's final fact, the game answers, and what the hell is this? Fact 5. In World War II, there were 384,000 soldiers killed in combat in the UK, but a high civilian death toll, 70,000 as opposed to 2,000 in World War II, largely due to German bombing raids during the Blitz. 40,000 civilians died in the 7-month period between September 1940 and May 1941, almost half of them in London. World War II resulted in 70 to 85 million deaths. 50 to 56 million of these deaths were a direct result of the war. Military deaths from all causes totaled 21 to 25 million, including those who died in captivity. Civilian deaths were estimated to be around 38 to 55 million. All these deaths totaled around 3% of the world's population at that time. That's a lot. That's a lot. It's a lot of death. The day Japan formally surrendered and at the end of the war on August the 15th would become known as VG Day or Victory Over Japan Day. Hero 5. Julian Rexel Buzzard. Buzzard landed with the 237th Engineer Combat Battalion on Utah Beach the morning of June 6, 1944. After clearing gaps and blowing the seawall, Buzzard was killed during an assault on a bunker just behind the beach. You know, Groaners, war is hell, but when truces are called and hands are shaken, it shows the best of humanity. Put your ill will aside this VE Day and call a truce in a personal battle you have, either with an enemy, a former friend, or an ex. Life is too short for hatred. On that point, we have the game answers. Give me the question. Round 1. Your answer was Alfred Jodl. Your correct question was A. Who was present at the unconditional surrender signing who represented Germany? He represented the German High Command. Round 2. Your answer was Edward Kennedy. Your correct question was A. Who was the first Allied news reporter to report the German surrender? Round 3. Your answer was Nuremberg. Your correct question was B. What was the name of the trials which came after World War II, seeking punishment for atrocities carried out by leading German officials? The 5-point countdown. Your answer was surrender. Talking nonsense. Round 1. Your nonsense is street party. Round 2. Your nonsense is Norway. Round 3. Your nonsense is France. Here we have the answers for Don't Quote Me on That. Round 1. It's a classic. Your answer, the film you were looking for, was of course Casablanca. Round 2. This will become a classic in its own right. In time, the answer, Hacksaw Ridge. And lastly, round 3. Your answer was about one of the biggest conflicts in World War II. It was Dunkirk. And lastly, Admin Nicole's anagram anxiety from last week was Harry S. Truman. President Harry S. Truman's birthday, May the 8th, coincided with VE Day, Victory in Europe Day, on May the 8th, 1945. He announced the end of the war in Europe from the Oval Office on that day. This meant he was celebrating his 61st birthday while also celebrating the end of the war in Europe. This brings us to our last game for the week. What the hell is this? Your clue is a very important piece of history. Without it, VE Day wouldn't have happened and it wouldn't be a thing. The picture will appear on Podbean, Facebook and Discord, and the answer will come next week. On a final note, so many more soldiers lost their lives in the Second World War, too many stories still never get told. Instead, they're all lost to history. We thank you to all you brave souls who fought and returned, and those who fought but also sadly did not return. At Groan Zone headquarters, Groaners, you have our gratitude for tuning in for this special episode. Back to normal, I believe, for next week, I hope. The games will return to normal soon. We'll see you then, Groaners. Take care. Bye-bye.
Tuesday, the 8th of May. But in the interest of saving lives, the ceasefire began yesterday to be sounded along all the front.